Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Oliver, and if you read the title and clicked on this video, you probably are dealing with either similar or even the same issues as I have dealt or I am dealing with in terms of overthinking. I put together a list of around 12 things that help me battling those issues, and honestly, it took me almost 28 years to get much better in terms of mental health and just dealing with overthinking in general on a daily basis. I put together this list based on my personal experience and what helped and what didn't help, so based on trial and error. But first off, some context in what my issues with overthinking were. So basically, since I was a little child, I've been overthinking about the most smallest stuff possible. For example, daily things, worrying about what other people think of me, what other people might say to me, how other people perceive me, and so on and so forth. Additionally, also worrying about the future or just worrying about daily things. So I would just put together this whole group as mostly worries and negatives, even though, in my opinion, overthinking can also have some positives. In my case, that's being very detail oriented, what helps in my job as a photographer a lot, but I would still consider it mostly being negatives. So let's dive into the list of those 12 things that actually help me. First off, this is very important. You need someone you can talk to honestly about all of your problems and even just the minute overthinking stuff. This can be either a family member, shrink, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, but this helped me a lot in terms of just sharing my experiences, my worries and issues, and just getting a second opinion in about my insights and therefore getting an objective view on my problems. And most of the time, it turned out that those aren't even big problems or those aren't even that important at all. Up next is a very important point, and that is learn how to say no and to set boundaries. This was especially hard for me because I consider myself a very nice and thoughtful person, and therefore I try to make the best for everyone or try to make decisions that are the best for everyone. And I noticed after a while that most of those decisions aren't necessarily the best for myself. And this doesn't mean in practice that I'm an egoist necessarily, just that I try to weigh both sides, both of other people and my side in terms of what's comfortable with me and what fits into my schedule, etc., etc. This next one is also a heavy hitter. Try to live in the now and in present time instead of worrying about future things or past things. Honestly, this is still the hardest thing for me personally. Even until this day, it still is very hard for me to just let go of worries that are not affecting my current day, our current tasks, and just trying to live in the now. But if you catch yourself just worrying about future things or past things, that's already, in my opinion, the biggest step in terms of reflecting on the now and just focusing on the present moment. This one was especially hard, but being much more forgiving with yourself and less hard on yourself. I needed to learn this for many, many years, and I'm still in the process of learning it because I tend to be very hard on myself and just very judgmental of myself and my actions, which just isn't very good. I need to deal with this still, but I think it's getting better. And if you're an overthinker as well, you might experience this as well. The next one ties a little bit into the living in the now point, but that is the it is what it is, and therefore just dealing with the current situation in terms of worrying about future or past things. It's funny because I actually got this quote from my mom because she says it to me all the time in terms of if a situation already happened, there is no point in worrying or just overthinking it because you just can't change it. So it is what it is. The next point is especially important if you don't have an enclosed system like a workspace, or you are not currently in school and are, for example, a freelancer like me. Create a daily routine. This means that you set a specific time when you get up, when you get things done, when you have lunch, when you go to bed. This helps in terms of being more organized and just having a structure in general. That way you can just follow that structure and you don't have to overthink about getting things done in time or just getting in bed in time. Just basic thing. This helped me a lot in terms of minimizing the overthinking I would have just during basic tasks during the day, especially because I'm mostly at home as a photographer if I don't have a job, and therefore it's up to me what I do in a day, either like working, training, anything, but this just helps me to be more structured and organized. The next point is pretty self explanatory, but that is being healthy. That means exercising on a regular basis, getting enough sleep, and eating healthy. Trust me, this will affect your mental health and your problems with overthinking more than you can imagine. This next one is especially hard for me because I have to post content and therefore I have to be online. And this point is minimalize your social media time, especially because, at least from my experience, when you are on social media, you tend to just compare yourself to other people and getting down a very toxic spiral in terms of who has achieved what, who has X amount of things, traveling to certain places, or whatever your feed might look like. I mostly feel like that I'm drained after scrolling through social media and not that I'm like charged full with energy. So that certainly helped me a lot. This next one also ties a little bit into the social media point, and that is that you should focus only on yourself and not spread your attention to other people because, first of all, it just doesn't matter. It shouldn't affect your life. And secondly, you just never know what background or what problems other people have. I want to quote my mom here as well because she always tells me that you have to view life as a cake or as a pie, that you have certain pieces, you have bad pieces, good pieces, and everyone has problems. There isn't one human being who has only perfect things in their lives. In terms of social media presence, people post mostly the best things in their lives. You might not see their struggles, and therefore it's just unnecessary to worry about what other people have or don't have. The next point also ties into the daily structure and daily routine point, and that is that you should set priorities on a daily basis as well, on a long term, more like life basis as well. For me, that meant that I tended to do a lot of tasks either during a day, during a week, during a year that were not really necessary or adding to my mental health. And therefore, I just tend to overdo things or just scheduling too many things. And that led often to burnout or just me overworking myself, which definitely isn't good. Next up is probably one of the most important points, and that is that you should track your thoughts. You can either track it with your phone or old school pen and paper, or just mentally, even though I think it helps when you write things down. But in practice, this means that I track my thoughts, like are my thoughts or my current thoughts positive, negative? If they are negative, I try to stop them as soon as possible. In the past couple of years, I tried to minimize the time when my thoughts were like really negative, and then I tried to get back to a certain neutral level, which helped me a lot. Honestly, when you just can stop the negative thoughts, that's the biggest step. And from there on, you slowly get out of that negative spiral. If you can track that and get better with that process, you are on the best way possible. And lastly, there is a well known point, which is meditation. I put that in last place because, in my experience, even though there were certain times I meditated twice a day, it didn't really affect my thoughts during the day, which means that even though I was very calm after meditation, after a certain amount of time, those toxic thoughts or overthinking in general just came up again. And that's why the stopping trick helped me, for example, more on a day to day basis. But of course, the combination of all of these points is probably the most effective. I try to collect these points because, in my experience of overthinking for the past 28 years, these actually helped me, and I see a positive uprise in my mental health. So feel free to try these out and comment down below what your experience with overthinking is and what you would advise to other people who are dealing with maybe similar issues.